Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. It's good to have you at home davening alongside me in the sanctuary. We'll begin this morning with Birkot HaShachar. Our morning blessings will rise, page 103. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan l'sach livin al havchin ben yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani bat chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hokeach Ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Mabi Sharumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Matir Asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Zokef Kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Rokah haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Amechin mitzarei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa li kol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten li'ayev koach. You can be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ha'mameh she'nenenat v'ramavai. Yikiratam mefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'elokei avoteinu she'targumenu v'torotech v'davkeinu v'tzedech v'yal tavinu lo b'nekeh v'lo lidei nisayon v'lo lidei bizayon v'nafashat v'nekeh. Utneinu hayom u'chol yom l'cheinu chesed u'rachamim beinecha v'nei choroweinu v'tigmalenu chasadim tovim. Baruch atah Adonai Gomel chasadim tovim le'amo Yisrael. We'll turn to page 112 for the Psalm for Shabbat. Hayom Yom Shabbat Kodesh Shebo hayu halevim omrim b'veit hamikdash Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat Tov lahodot l'Adonai Uzamer l'shim kol yom Nagim b'boker chasacha ve'emunacha ba'alelot alei Shabbat Alehi gayom chinor kitzimachtan Or yenevun b'seva d'sheni b'ranani mihiyu lahagid ki ashar Adonai Tzuri v'lo avlat tabon. Page 120. Mizmor shir Chanukat habayit leDavid or Micha Adonai k'dili tani k'lo simachtor. הפכת מספרי למחולי, פיתחת שקים ותעזרי שמחה, למען יזמרך כבוד ולעידום, אדוני אלוהי לעולם עודך. We turn to Baruch She'amar, page 122, will rise. Baruch She'amar, v'haya ha'olam baruchu, Baruch Zeberti, Baruch Amedes HaBaruch Baruch Elad v'Yom Netzach Baruch V'Odel Matzil Baruch Shemo Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Neshavach Umfer B'Shem Chesed V'Amnev Shreid V'Dedech Anelach Anelach Yachid Chayehol Amin Melech Meshubach Umfoar De'Ajma Gadol Baruch Atah Adonai Melech Mehula Batish Bachot. You can be seated. We'll continue at the top of the next page, 123. Hodu l'Adonai kiru v'ishmo Hodiu v'amim ali lotav shiru lo zamer lo zechmoni v'delo Yismach l'mer she'Adonai dir shuv'Adonai v'zovat k'ufanat v'zovat gadol Adonai Hula me'od v'norahu al kol Elohim ki kol Elohei amim elilim v'Adonai shamayim asa hod v'hadar lefanav v'zocheva b'mkamo havu lana mishpachot amim havu Adonai kavodos havu Adonai kavod shemos Kilo milchanav kol ha'aretz v'tzivim v'tzivim yishvot v'shamay v'dagel Ramamu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishtachavu lahadom raglav kadoshu Ramamu Adonai Eloheinu v'yishtachavu lahar kodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu v'hu rachum yichaper avon v'lo yashrit v'hir bal hashiv al kol v'lo ya'ir kol chamato ata Adonai lo tikva rachamnecha mimeni chastecha v'amitcha tamim yitzim zachor rachamech nagim kanu azohim azal menanu Adonai Tzevaot, Ashrei Adam Boteach Bach, Adonai Hoshia, HaMelech Yaneinu, V'yom Koreinu, Hoshia et Amecha, Uvarech et Nachalatecha, Ureven Asein Adolam Nafsheinu, Pikta Adonai Ezoinu, Yigazachana Kafin, Chanu Achoyah, V'ani b'chastecha v'tachti, Ageli bi b'shuatecha, Shir al Adonai, Ki gamal alai. We'll turn to Ashrei, page 136. 136 for Ashrei. Ashrei, Yoshrei, V'techa, Ori Hallelujah, Ori Hallelujah, Selah, Hashem Shekach Alo Hashem Shalom. Tehillat Adonai yedaber pi vivarech kol basar Shem kodsho leolam va'ed v'anachnu nevarech ya me'ata ve'ad olam We'll turn to 141 at the top for Psalm 150. 141. Hallelujah, 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 el bekodsho. Hallelujah, 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 birki uzo. Hallelujah, v'moratav. Hallelujah, kerov kula. Hallelujah, b'teker shofar. Hallelujah, b'nevel v'chinor. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, b'tof u'makom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, b'minim ve'ugav. Hallelujah, v'tiltulei shama. Hallelujah, v'tiltulei tamara. Kol neshama, tehallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol neshama, tehallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen v'amen. Baruch Adonai Mitzion, Shofenu Yishalayim, hallelujah. Ubaruch Shem Kavoto le'olam, v'yamalech v'oro kol haaretz, amen v'amen. We'll rise 142. ויברך דוד את אדוני לעיני כל קהל ויאמר דוד ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהי ישראל אבינו מעולם ועד עולם ואחד נגדולה לנו לעמדנו יהובה בשמיים לארץ. אתה הוא אדוני האלוהים אשר בחרת באברהם והוצאתו מאור כסדים ושמת שמו אברהם ומצאת את לבבו נאמן לפניך וחרוץ עמו הברית לתת את ארץ הכנעני החיתי האמורי והפריזי והיבוסי והגרשי לתת לצורו ותקם מדברך כי צדיק אתה ואשר פני עבדים במצרים וצדקתם שמעת יוסף עתידם ומתנדם והים בקעת לפניהם ויעברו בתוך הים ביבשה ואת רגליהם ישלח צבים צולות כמו אבן במים עזים ויושע אדוני ביום ההוא את ישראל מיד מצרים וירא ישראל את הגדולה אשר עשה אדוני במצרים ויראו העם את אדוני ויאמינו באדוני ובמשה עבדו אז ישיר משה ובני ישראל שירה הזאת לאדוני ויאמרו לאמור אשר אדוני כי גאה סוס ורוכבו רמה ויעמוד בזמרתו אדוני ישמיעך מה אדוני שמעו מלכותיהם ומבחר שלישיו תראו וימסוך ועמוד בזמרתו. Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed v'tikach Miriam hanaviyah achot Aharon et hatov beyada v'tetana kol hanashim achareha v'tupim uvimcholot v'atan lehem Miriam shir l'Adonai ki ga'o ga'a sus v'rachvo rama v'yam כי לאדוני מלחם משה בגויים ועלו מושים בהרתיהם לשפוט את הר עשיו והייתה אדוני מלוכה והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You can be seated. We continue at the top of 145 with Nishmat. נשמת כל חי תברך את שמך אדוני אלוהינו לכל ארצנו מן העולם ועד מתי ומבעד לכם אנו מלך לנו משיח ודל מציל ונשם לכם בכל צרה וצוקה אין לנו מלך אלא אתה אלוהי הראשונים והאחרונים הקודם וכל הדור אמרה ברוך תשפחות הגון ובחסדיות ברחמים ואדוני אלוהינו ולא יישן המעורר ישני והמקיץ נרדמים והמנציח עילני והמתיר אסורים והזוקפת וחברות אנחנו יודעים אילוצינו על אשר הקיים ושכננו עינת המון גלה וסקרותינו שבח ומרחבי רקיע ואיתנו וחשבת חייך ואיננו וחשבים ושמענו ובחברות חייו ואיננו אנחנו מספיקים וטוב החברים ומצרים דעתן ואומרים second to last line on 146, starting with the second word. ותעצומות עוזך הגדול בכבוד שמך concludes Pesukei de Zimra, the preliminary service. We continue with the beginning of Shacharit on the 6th line of page 147. Shochen ad marom v'kadosh shemo v'chatuv ranenu tzadikim b'Adonai v'yesharim eladim b'fi yesharim titalal uvdivrei tzadikim titbarach uv'yoshon chasidim titromam uvkerev kedoshim titkadash uv'makalot rivavot Amecha Beit Yisrael Berina Yipar Shulchan Shekein Chovat Kol HaYitzurim Lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu V'Elokei Avoteinu Lehodot Lehalel Leshabeach Lefaer Leromem Lehader Levarech Le'aleh U'Ka'ales Al Kol Divrei Shirot V'Tishbachot David ben Yishai Avdecha Meshichecha. We rise, page 148. Yishtabach Shimcha La'at Malkeinu Ha'elam Melech HaGadol Berachot V'Hoda'ot Me'atav Yad Olam Baruch Atah Adonai El Melech Gadol B'Tishbachot El HaHodaot Adon HaNiflaot HaBocher B'Shirei Zimra Melech Elchei Olamim. You can be seated. We continue at the top of 150. We skip Kaddish and Baruch Hu since we don't have a minyan of people davening together, but we come back at top of 150. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Yotzer Or Vorei Choshech Choseh Shalom Uvorei Et HaKol Hakol Yoducha Ve'Hakol Yeshabechucha Ve'Hakol Yomruen Kadosh Kadonai Hakol Yerumu Hasela Yotzer Hakol Ha'ela Potech B'Chol Yom Dilatot Sharei Mizrach V'Bokeh Haoni Orki Amotzi Kama Minkoma Ulanami Mechon Shvita Me'er Le'olam Kol Yishvach Shebera B'Midat Rachamim. Amen. Ein kerkecha ve'en zulatecha, efes bioltecha umido melach. Ein kerkecha Adonai Eloheinu ba'olam hazeh, ve'en zulatcha malkeinu lechayei ha'olam haba. Es bioltecha go'aleinu limot ha'mashiach, ve'en do melech ha'moshienu, liftiat ha'metim. El Adonai kol ha'masim barach u'mvorach b'fikol neshama godlo v'tuvo malei olam da'at u'tfuna sovev imoto ha'mitzka'eh achayot ha'kodesh v'nedar b'chavod Al HaMerkava Zechut u'mishor Lifnei Chiso Chesed v'rachamim Lifnei Chevodo Tovim me'orot Shebara Eloheinu Yitzaram b'da'at b'vina uv'haskel Koach u'gvura natan bahem Liot moshlim b'kerev teivam Maleim ziv Fikim noga Nazivam B'chol ha'olam Semechim b'tzeitam V'sasim b'voam Osim b'aimam Retzon tonam Per v'chavod notnim lishmot Tzahol averina lezecher malchutom Kara l'shemesh v'yizrach ora V'hitkin tzurat alvana Shevach notnim lo Kol tzeva maram 52. לאל אשר שבת מכל המעשים. תתברך מושיענו על שבח מעשה ידיך, ועל מאורי אור שעשית יפארו חסר. תתברך צורנו, מלכנו וגואלנו, בורא קדושים, ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו. כולם אהובים, כולם ברורים, כולם גיבורים, וכולם עושים באווירה רצון קונם, וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושה ובטהרה, בשירה ובזמרה, ומברכים ומשבחים ומפארים, ומעריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שם המלך הגדול. וכולם מקבלים עליהם או מלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש ליתרם בנחת רוח, בשפה ורבים הקדושה, כולם כאחד, עונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. ואופנים וחיות הקודש, ברעש גדול מתנשאים ומצרפים, לעומתם משבחים ואומרים, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, כולנו מרע לאורו, ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות, אהבה רבה אהבתנו אדוני אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ותרחמת עלינו. ובאנו בחרת מכל עם ולשון, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע, סלע באמת, להודות לך ולייחדך, ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה, אל מלך נאמן. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, והיה דור ודור קיים ושמו קיים, וכיסו נכון ומלכותו, ואמונתו לעד קיימת, ודבריו חיים וקיימים, ונאמנים ונחמים לנו, ומי עולמים ואבותינו ועלינו רבנינו, ועל זרע עבדך אמת שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, מלכנו מלך אבותינו, גואלנו גואל אבותינו, יוצרנו צור ישועתנו, קודנו מצילנו מעולם שמך, אין אלוהים זולתך, עזרת אבותינו אתה הוא מעולם, מגן משה לבנינו לכם בכל דור ודור. Tehillah Leon Baruch Hu Barak Moshe Miriam Uvnei Israel L'chanu Shira Besimcha Rabba V'yamru Chulam Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mi Chamocha Nedar B'Kodesh Nora Tehilot Osei Feleh Shira Chadasha, Shivachu Geulim, Leshimcha al Sifatayam, Yachad Kulam Hodu, Vehimlichu Veyameru, Adonai Imloch Leolam Vaed, Tzur Yisrael, Kuma B'Yezrat Yisrael, Uftechinu Mecha, Yehuda v'Yisrael, Lo Aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We'll begin the Amidah together through the first two brachot. After that, you'll continue silently skipping the Kedusha and moving on your own. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Ve'Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Ve'Elohei Leah El Hagadol Hagibor Ve'Hanura El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Ve'Konei Hakol Ve'Zocher Chasei Avot Umehi Goel Livnei V'Neihem L'man Shemo Ve'Ahava Melech Ozer Ufoked Umoshia Umagen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ufoked Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayem Etim Atarach Loshia Mashiv HaRuach Umorid Agashem Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayem Meitim Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofeh Holim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Bal Gevurot Umido Melach Melach Meimit Umechayeh Umatmiach Yeshua V'neman Atala HaChayot Metim Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayeh HaMetim Yes, Machmos and then I'll go to the other one. we'll turn in our Chumashim to page 274. This week we read Parshat Vayigash. We are making our way towards the end of the book of Breshit, the book of Genesis. And so I will recite the bracha for learning Torah, for occupying ourselves with Torah, and then I will lay the first aliyah and then teach a little bit. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Vayigash elav Yehuda vayomer bi Adoni Yidaber na'avdecha davar be'oznei Adoni ve'al yichar apecha be'avdecha ki chamocha keparo. Adoni sha'al et avadav lemor hayesh lachem av o ach vanomer el Adoni yesh lanu av zaken vayeled zekunim katan ve'achiv met vayvaterhu levado le'imo ve'aviv ahevo vatomer el avadecha horiduhu elai ve'asima eini alav vanomer el Adoni lo yuchal hanar lazov et aviv ve'azav et aviv vamet vatomer el avadecha im lo yered achichem hakaton itchem lo tosifun lirot panai vayhi ki alinu el avdecha avi vanaged lo et divrei Adoni vayomer avinu shuvu shivru lanu me'at ochel vanomer lo nuchal laredet im yesh achinu hakaton itanu ve'yaradnu ki lo nuchal lirot penei ha'ish va'achinu hakaton enenu itanu vayomer avdecha avi eleinu atem yedatem ki shnayim yaldali ishti vayetze ha'echad me'iti va'omar ach tarof toraf v'lo re'itiv ad hina V'lokachtem gam et zeh me'im panai v'karahu ason v'horadtem et sevati bara'a she'ola ve'ata tavoi el avdecha avi v'hanar enenu itanu v'nafsho keshura v'nafsho. This is in the middle of the Joseph story, and this is Judah is about to plead with Joseph after Joseph has put them through many trials. I'll speak about that in just a minute. This is 274, beginning with verse 18. Then Judah went up to him, to Joseph, and said, "Please, my lord, let your servant appeal to my lord, and do not be impatient with your servant. You who are equal of Pharaoh." My lord asked his servants, "Have you a father or another brother?" He told my lord, "We have an old father, and there is a child of his old age, the youngest. His full brother is dead, so that he alone is left of his mother, and his father dotes on him. Then you said to your servants, 'Bring him down to me, that I may set eyes on him.' We said to my lord, 'The boy cannot leave his father. If he were to leave him, his father would die.' But you said to your servants, 'Unless your youngest brother comes down with you, do not let me see your faces.' When we came back to your servant, my father, we reported my lord's words to him. Later our father said, 'Go back and procure some food for us.' We answered, 'We cannot go down. Only if our youngest brother is with us can we go down. For we may not show our faces to that man unless our youngest brother is with us.' Your servant, my father, said to us, 'As you know, my wife bore me 2 sons, but one is gone from me.' And I said, 'Alas, he was torn by a beast, and I have not seen him since. If you take this one from me too, and he meets with disaster, you will send my white head down to Sheol in sorrow. Now, if I come to your servant, my father, and the boy is not with us, since his own life is so bound up with his." And that is how the first aliyah ends. In the next aliyah, you will hear that Joseph reveals himself to the brothers. And so I want to speak about what that moment means and what it might mean for us. As we near the end of the Joseph story, This week, we meet the brothers in Egypt as they plead with Joseph, as you just heard, now risen to power as he manages their famine response team. Last week, Joseph had asked them to go bring baby brother Benjamin from their home in Canaan, and of course, as they are leaving Egypt, a goblet is slipped into Benjamin's bag, turning him into a presumed thief. Joseph tells the brothers that Benjamin should be held captive as a slave, as punishment. And we meet them this week, after that cliffhanger, with Judah pleading with Joseph. He is impassioned and genuine, describing the responsibility that he feels toward Benjamin. He talks about the deep pain he knows it would cause their father if they returned home without Benjamin. He pleads with him in the most emotional way out of his care for Benjamin and out of his love for his father. And Judah must have inspired something in Joseph, because the entire saga builds up to this next moment. The scene cracks open, and the Torah tells us, Velo yachol Yosef lehitapek, and Joseph could no longer control himself before all of his attendants, and he cried out, "Have everyone withdraw from me." So there was no one else about when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. Joseph sobbed, and then he said in the most plain, explicit language, "I am Joseph." The drama of the moment shifts right here. And what was it that made Joseph finally reveal himself? After the whole ordeal that he put his brothers through, bringing Benjamin down to Egypt, putting the goblet in his sack, why did he decide that it was finally over, that he would finally take off the mask of Egyptian royalty and show his true colors? What changed for him? Joseph finally reveals himself to his brothers because he heard Judah's plea, and he heard that Judah and the rest of the brothers, by extension, had learned something. In Judah's speech about his connectedness to Benjamin, his care for him, his responsibility for his well-being, Joseph knew that Judah had actually internalized brotherhood, because Joseph had been seeking this connectedness to others, brotherhood and his brothers, for so long. We see this even at the beginning of the story, the Joseph journey. When young Joseph has dreams and wants to share them with his brothers, probably not his smartest move, he goes out to look for them, and he comes across a stranger who asks Joseph what he's looking for. Joseph responds, "I am seeking my brothers." On the one hand, of course, it's a straightforward response, looking for the location of his brothers, but it's also a deeper desire to be in reciprocal relationship of care and connectedness to others. In many ways, the Joseph story serves as a response at the very end of the book of Genesis to the question we heard at the very beginning. Cain asks that famous question after murdering his brother, "Am I my brother's keeper?" Many generations before, this question set the stage for all the learning of the book of Genesis. Of course, we know what the answer to that question is supposed to be, but Cain didn't know. And if we look at the past 40-something chapters of Torah we've read in Genesis, it doesn't seem like anyone really got the answer right to that question. Joseph sees this week that finally his brothers feel that sentiment as well. Judah is willing to take the place of Benjamin, both sparing his younger brother the pain of being captive, but also sparing his father the pain he knows it would cause him if Benjamin were taken as a slave. Judah shows Joseph that he finally knows what it means to be a brother. Throughout this chapter, where Joseph finally reveals himself, chapter 45, We see the repetition of the word ach, brother, over and over. We are reminded time and time again as readers of the theme here. Not only are they brothers, but they finally relate to each other like brothers. But something interesting happens as well after he reveals himself. While the brothers are completely stunned into silence at his reveal, he wants to ensure that they don't feel overly guilty. He says to them, "Don't be distressed or reproach yourself because you sold me here. It was to save life that God sent me ahead of you." Joseph here is saying that he believes in a type of what we would now call hashgacha pratit, divine providence, God having a plan for him, where he was sold into slavery, thrown in jail, brought back up as this dream interpreter, all to save the brothers' lives when they would be struck by famine. On the one hand, he offers this theological reading because he doesn't want them to feel guilty for their actions so many decades ago. But I think Joseph also believes that he has an important role to play in their salvation in this moment. At his role in the current situation, in the current moment, not through the hardships that he has struggled or what he has endured, but how he can be life-saving for someone else. Because he knows that is what brotherhood means. Joseph is giving an example of what it actually means to treat someone like an ach, like a brother. He says on no uncertain terms, "I am here to save you. I am connected to you, and that necessitates that when I am in a position to improve your well-being, to help you out of despair and famine, I draw on my humanity to give you something life-saving." This Torah feels quite profound and appropriate this week as we've started to see people getting the coronavirus vaccine. This unequivocally save lives. This vaccine will protect those in our broader community who are medically unable to receive it. This vaccine will save the lives of those who are most vulnerable. And this vaccine will finally let us, in due time, return to community, which is life-giving. As brothers, as siblings, as individuals who know the true answer to Cain's question, being that life-saving measure is a responsibility, an obligation of brotherhood. If Joseph could do that for brothers that harmed him and turned him into the enemy earlier in his life, surely we can do that for those we are in community with. Joseph is emotional in this moment, perhaps one of the most emotionally intense moments of the Torah. He is emotional because he's finally reunited with his family after so long. But there's also the emotional intensity of knowing that his brothers, the tribes, our people, finally know the responsibility of this connectedness. And this is an emotionally intense moment for us too. It's a time that draws on our ability to see ourselves as connected to others, as responsible to others, not just those that are in our families or our neighborhoods, but those that we are connected to in a much broader, even cosmic sense. In fact, our ability to stop the catastrophe of this virus is dependent on our ability to say, "You are my brother, and because I can do something to help save you, I will do whatever is in my power." Our parsha this week closes with the ability of our ancestors to finally answer Cain's initial question. From the beginning of this book of Genesis, we answer his question, and we must continue to provide the same answer as it applies to us in our day, that yes, I am my brother's keeper. And from this week's Parsha, as we near the end of the book of Genesis, we borrow from Joseph as well, who knew that he had a role to play in saving his brothers. May we feel the weight, the responsibility, the imperative of taking care of each other. We are our brother's keepers. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah udvar Hashem Yerushalayim. 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 We'll offer a Misha Berach for Cholim, a prayer for all who are ill, praying for their well-being, for a speedy recovery. I'll pause after I read the list of names, and of course, I ask you to please include the names of all those that you're davening for as well. Misha Berach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov ve'imoteinu Sarah Rivka Rechav Leah v'yivarech v'yirapet ha'cholim et Hayden Adams, Sandy Armis, Nancy Armando, Eileen Carol Battleman, Helen Beavers, Ricky Beavers, David Bennett, Janice Berlin, Brody Brayman, Sandra Bresnick, Jane Brown, Beverly Cassius, Sandy Catania, Ann Coggin, Isabel Cohen, Nathan Dion, Howard Fetter, Caroline Gadberry, Lynn Gumberg, Mimi Grossman, Joe Hetzel, Harold Herlick, Marvin Jacobson, Austin Cabot, Marilyn Lieber, Michelle Mann, Mark Mathias, Cameron Miller, Gary Murray, Alan Nadell, Marcia Notowich, Tom O'Hara, Santa Panton, Philip Spratt, Glenn Rainbow, Kevin Shiner, Darlene Chevsky, Lisa Shipowitz, Jean Stites, Pat Stevens, Tom Stevens, Rachel Siegel-Strauss, Edna Wiener, Rita Witt, Rodney Wolf, Debbie Yanks, Aaron Ben Yosef Abracha, Chanya Rivka, Bat Chana, Chava Cyril, Bat Esther, Elka Bat Nechama, Sarah Esther, Bat Rachel, Hanali Bat Shoshan, Bat Kito Moshe, Ben Rachel, Ovadia, Ben Sarah, Rachel Sarah, Bat Leah, Yaakov David, Bat Devorah, Yehuda Selka, Bat Rachel Ve'et. Akadosh, Baruch Hu Yamale Rachamim Alehem, Hachzikam Urachotam, Yishlach Lehem Mehera Refuah Shlema Min Hashamayim, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat Zaguf, B'toch Sha'ar HaCholim, V'chazek Et Yidei Haoskim B'tzorchehem, Shabbat Milizok Ufra Kirva Levo, Hashta Bagalav Izman Kariv, Venomar Amen. El Na Refana Lanu, El Na Refana Lanu, El Na Refana Lanu, Refuah Sheleman. We'll turn towards the end of our service with Ein Keloheinu, which is on page 204. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemachenu, Ein Kemoshienu, Micheloheinu, Michadonenu, Michemachenu, Michemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shehiktiru, Avotenu, Lefanecha Ketoret Hasamim, Yanai, Nananai, Yanai, 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 Nananai, Yanai, Nananai, Yanai, Nananai, Yanai, 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 Nananai, We'll rise for Aleinu, page 205. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גאולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים עמם. ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, הכתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים עמך, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו You can be seated. In the coming week, we honor the yard sites of the following: Rose Burson, Dale Asher, Ann Phillips, Mary Cassius, Helen Siegel, and Sarah Lee Miller. I invite all those who are in mourning or observing a yard site to recite with me the modified mourner's Kaddish. The way we recite it when we don't have a minyan together, we exclude the middle line. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah be'alma divra kirutei ve'amlich malchutei b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman karim v'imru amen. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kusha brichu Ha'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imamav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Shabbat shalom. Thank you so much for davening alongside me. It's nice to know that you're out there joining me in tefillah this morning. Hope everyone has had a good, relatively quiet week. We want to offer some mazal tovs of birthdays and anniversaries coming up. Lila Glazer and David Scheinberg, Mark Geller, David Moynister, Randall Harris, Coleman Agranov, Vicky Lisk, Greg Phelps, Mark Myers, Michelle Glazer, and Leslie Jason. Happy birthday to all of you, and Mazal Tov, happy anniversary to Mark and Rhonda Seslowski, and to Alan and Jerry Israel. Mazal Tov to y'all. Lots of good things to celebrate. We need those things now. We'll conclude this morning with Adon Olam on page 211. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'Terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'Chevtzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Imloch Nora Vehu Hove, Vehu Yea Betifara, Vehu Yea Betifara, Vehu Echad Ve'en Sheni Leham Shilom, Lehachbira Beli Reshit, Beli Tachlit, Velo Ha'oz Ve'hamisra, Velo Ha'oz Ve'hamisra, Vehu Elim Ve'chai Go'ali Ve'tzor Chavlim, Be'yetzara Ve'hu Nisi, Umanos Li Menat Kosi Be'yom Mekra, Menat Kosi Be'yom Mekra, Be'yado Avkid Ruchi Be'et Dishan Ve'ya'ira Ve'im Ruchi Gavi'atid Adonai Li Ve'lo ira, Adonai Li Ve'lo ira. Shabbat Shalom. You want to come say hi? Come here, come say hi to everyone.
Hi.
Wave. Wave to the camera. Shabbat Shalom. You say Shabbat Shalom? Yeah, Ima was davening here. Davening? How do you daven? We don't touch the microphone. Yeah, Ima was davening.
Abba,
And Abba was with you.
car.
You played with cars.
Mama.
They go vroom, vroom, vroom.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Shabbat Shalom.